Hi, everybody, and welcome to Principles of Marketing at East Tennessee State University. This, of course, is the online section of marketing. My name is Matthew Harrison, and I will be your instructor for this semester. It's truly a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm very excited to share my love of marketing with you this semester. That being said, this is a totally 100% online class, and I know for some of you guys, this may be your first time taking an online course, or maybe you're a 100% online student, or maybe you've taken lots of online classes, whatever it may be. I always like to make a video for my students, and I do this every week to give you an overview of the topics you're going to be learning about. This particular video, though, is just an introduction to our course. So I want to go over the syllabus with you. I want to go over my expectations and make sure to try to answer any questions you may have on the front end. So I'm going to take a moment and go through the syllabus. I'm going to show you how to access our course on D2L and where you'll find some important things about the course. And then, of course, if you have any questions, you're welcome to shoot me an email. Email is typically the best way to get in touch with me, and my email is here. It's harrisonmt1@etsu.edu. Please don't forget that one. There is another Matthew Harrison who works on campus as well, and when he teaches physics, I believe, but when he gets my emails from marketing students, he gets very confused. So please make sure you don't forget the one there in the email. Email is usually the best way to get in touch with me. I do check my email every single day, and I try to respond always within 24 hours. Occasionally, we slip into the 48-hour mark on the weekends, but I do check my email every day and try to get back to you as quickly as possible. Um, so my goal with this course, this is Principles of Marketing. So this is a requirement for anyone in the College of Business getting a BBA. And I know lots of students simply choose to take a course in marketing depending on your field of study, like healthcare administration, or there's lots of other things out there. So this is a general course just to give you an overview of marketing as a whole, and specifically the 4 Ps of marketing. Um, this is the textbook we'll be using during the semester. You can see a picture here. It has the granola bars on the front. It's going to make you hungry every time you look at it. I apologize for that. This is the 7th edition that you see pictured here, and the ISBN number is listed. Now, guys, this book just came out, like hot off the printers, 2019. So, that being said, I'm totally fine if you choose that you would like to purchase the 6th edition. I've used both books. I have both books. The 6th edition has a chocolate strawberry on the front that it will also make you hungry. Um, but the content of both the 7th and the 6th edition is virtually identical. There's a few updates to the 7th edition, but if you choose that you want to purchase the 6th instead of the 7th, I do draw attention to anything super important in those weekly video lectures, so you'll have the opportunity to watch those if you need to. So, oh, and you're welcome to purchase either a physical copy or an ebook. I know ebooks are like the thing now. Everybody likes ebooks. I'm old school. I like to write in my books and highlight and all that stuff, but I am totally cool either way if you want an ebook or you want a physical copy, whichever one floats your boat. This kind of shows you the grading structure for our course, and I'm going to go into detail about each of these assignments here for you in just a second. But basically, in our course, every week you're going to read 1 to 2 chapters. Most weeks it's just 1 chapter, but there are some weeks where, because of all the content we have to cover, there are 2 chapters you have to read in a week, and those range from 20 to 30 pages each, so it's not a ton of reading, and you will have a video for every chapter to help you along the way. But basically, after you read those chapters, every week you're going to take a quiz. And the quizzes are cumulative in nature. So that means this week, after you read chapters 1 and 5, and next week you go into chapter 4, when you take that quiz next week on chapter 4, it's going to cover all of the content from chapters 1, 5, and 4. And then when you go on the next few weeks and you do chapters 6 and 7, those quizzes are going to cover content from chapters 1, 5, 4, 6, and 7. So it's going to keep building just to make sure that those really, really important concepts stick with you throughout the course and hopefully throughout your life as you pursue a career, hopefully in marketing. So that being said, the quizzes will be cumulative. You do have them every week. They're always multiple choice, typically consisting of somewhere between 10 and 20 questions each. Um, so yes, that's all we have to say about that. After you've read the chapter and you watched the video lectures and you've taken your quizzes, you always have at least, well, not at least, you always have one written assignment every week, only one. And I vary these throughout the semester. So sometimes it will be a marketing application response, other times it'll be a discussion board, and then also I have case studies built in. So you'll alternate between these three assignments. Fortunately, they all kind of have similar requirements, and that makes it sort of easy to keep up with what you're supposed to do each week. Um, I'll go into those in a second. Then, of course, at the end of the course, you do have a final exam. If you're studying and paying attention to the quizzes, usually the final exam is very easy for students. That's always my goal. Um, okay, this is the grading scale we're going to be using for our class. 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, so on and so forth. I do accept late assignments, but you do receive a point deduction of 10 points per day late. So after 2 days, the highest grade you can receive is an 80. After 3 days, the highest grade you can receive is a 70. So pretty simple there. Already talked to you about quizzes. The common thread here between marketing application responses, case studies, and the discussion boards is that all of our marketing courses here at the university require that you use 2 chapter concepts and 2 external sources. Okay, so whether you're doing a discussion board, a case study, or a marketing application response, each week you should have 2 chapter concepts included there, and usually you bold them or underline them so we know that we're using them. Um, you also use 2 external sources, and typically one of those is scholarly in nature, meaning that it usually comes from a scholarly journal. And the library database website is a great place to go to find those external sources. And I have a whole section on D2L. I made a news post about what a scholarly source is and where you find those. And I'll show you some sample submissions and everything just to let you know what I'm looking for here in just a second. But just so you know, every week, 2 chapter concepts, 2 external sources, um, and that's pretty much it. Um, with marketing application responses and case studies, you'll be submitting those to the Dropbox. Whereas, of course, with discussion boards, you will be physically uploading your paper as an attachment or just typing it in the box. Either way, you need to make sure that you respond to 2 classmates. In those replies to your classmates, you should also have at least 2 external sources as well. So, hi John, I agree with you too, is not a good response, right? You need to explain why you agree, what theory you're using to support that, something from the text to support your answer. Of course, I've already talked to you about the final exam. Okay, we've talked about all of this. If you have a disability and you need any kind of accommodation, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be glad to provide those accommodations in any way that I can for you. This is an online course, so we don't have any on-campus meetings. I always recommend that students devote between 8 to 10 hours per week studying for the course content. Now that includes the time that you may spend watching these videos as you prepare. It includes the time that you may spend reading the text and completing the assignments. So I try not to kill you. I know that you have other classes, and I try to be very reasonable and very understanding with your needs as well as students. Each week, I will read your paper. I do genuinely read every word of what you write in the discussions and what you Dropbox, and I always try to provide very individualized, very specific feedback for you. So if there's something that you need to work on, I'll make sure to tell you that in the feedback. So please make sure that you're reading that and you're checking it. Even if you get a good grade, make sure that you're reading that and checking it, because I may tell you something kind of important in there. So make sure you're reading that. Um, at the end of our syllabus here, you will find our tentative course calendar. It gives you all the various assignments you're going to be completing for the whole semester. So if I were you, I would go ahead and just put all of these dates on your calendar. Go ahead and mark your calendar. If you're like me and you use your phone for everything and you're permanently glued to your cell phone, you can go ahead and put all of these dates in your calendar and save them with some reminders coming up to let you know what's due. So I strongly suggest that. This first week, you should be reading the syllabus, which, hey, if you watch this video, you can check that off your list. Um, you should be reading chapters 1 and 5 and watching the chapters 1 and 5 video lectures as well. I also have some supplemental videos for you here that are very short um, that you can watch as well. Once you've done all of that to kind of prepare, you can move on over and, of course, go ahead and order your textbook. That's very important. There's a quiz on the syllabus on the things that we're covering right now. There's a pretest just to see what you know about marketing. Please go ahead and complete that. The pretest will not count against you in terms of what you get right and wrong. It's just for me to see what you already know about marketing. I know a lot of students take marketing in high school, so I just want to see what you know coming into this class. Go ahead and introduce yourself as well on the discussion board. Just let us know who you are, your major, what you like, what you dislike, and what chapter you're most excited about studying. There's a link to that in the news post that I shared. So you're welcome to join us as soon as you can. And then, of course, you do have a quiz on chapters 1 and 5, as I mentioned. And then your first written assignment is a discussion board about chapters 1 and 5 as well. So that's what you have to do for this first week. Of course, the class is set up so that if you prefer to work ahead, if you know you have a really busy week coming up and you want to work ahead, you can do that. I always tell you here what you're going to be reading, and you'll have access to my YouTube channel. So if you want to go ahead and watch the video lecture for the next week or go ahead and start on the assignments for the next week, you're welcome to do that. Every week, your assignments I will share with you on Mondays, sometimes Sunday night. I will go ahead and email out what you need to do for the week on Mondays and let you know, hey, this is everything that's due, and you have to Dropbox it or turn it in by Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so you have a whole week to work on things, and like I said, if you do want to work ahead, you have the option of doing that as well. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say about that. Quickly, I want to show you how to access our course. So once you log into D2L, you see our courses here. You can click on your course. I'm going to click on the 905 section. Here on our main course screen, you have all kinds of messages. So I post really, really important announcements here, guys, and I strongly encourage you, please read every word. I try to really make it succinct and really important and just mention very concisely what you need to know. So, of course, we're talking about the welcome statement here and reading the syllabus. Hopefully, you're already working on that. I tell you about the course structure and due dates here. Everything's posted on Monday mornings, always due by Sunday evenings at 11:59 p.m. Kind of talk to you about what I've mentioned here. With your assignments, you should be using APA formatting, and I know a lot of people are not always familiar with APA. So I've included a little bit of some cheat sheets for you to help you with APA formatting, and I can answer any questions you have about that. You're welcome to send an email and I can help with you there. There is a section, I'm going to skip for a second. There's a section up here. If you go to the content section of D2L, under general course information here, you will see there's our syllabus. Over here you see APA formatting, and there's a link to the Purdue OWL, which is wonderful. If you ever have, I'm sure you've written many papers before, but the Purdue OWL is great for MLA, APA, Chicago, any of those formatting guides you may have to use, but for APA style writing, Purdue is awesome. The OWL is great. So you can check that out. I've included a link here also to the Shared Library website directly to the database page, where you can find information for your external sources that you need each week. Some people prefer to use Google Scholar, and that's perfectly fine as well. And I've included some links as well to the Journal of Marketing, the Journal of Business Research, and the American Marketing Association as well, if you choose to pull from there. Bear in mind that through the shared library, you have access to each of these sources for free. So make sure if you just click on these individual links, they're going to take you to those sources directly, and you would have to pay for those. So I suggest going to the library website first and then searching these databases specifically for those things. You may recall me saying earlier that in all of your written submissions, the discussion boards, the case studies, the marketing application responses, you always have to have 2 external sources and 2 chapter concepts. So in those external sources and chapter concepts, I know people get kind of confused, so I've included an example for you, a submission template. So I'm just going to open this for you here. if my computer is not terribly slow. Let me just download it. Okay, here we go. So bear in mind, you do not have to use this template if you don't want to, okay? This is just here to show you if you need a checklist to see, hey, yes, I included these things. This is just there to help you with that. So basically, you need to have two key terms, and I prefer that you underline them. You don't have to include the page number or any of that stuff if you don't want to. As long as you show me you're using the key terms, underline two of them, and then you need two references as well, and you should cite those at the end of your document using APA formatting. Within your paper that you're writing, you need to show that you're using that external source in some way. So according to Gruhl and Levy, blah, 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 and cite the year. So this is here just to help you if you need this formatting. If you don't like it or you don't want to use it, that's okay. You don't have to. It's just there as a guide. So again, here's an example of a completed template as well that you can view. So I removed the student's name for privacy purposes, but this was for a discussion board that she did. And she has the date and everything. And then she highlighted one of the sources, or sorry, excuse me, one of the chapter concepts that she used. But of course, she used several, and most of you guys will use more than two. You just have to have at least two. But she used several of them, and she's underlining them every time she used them. You can see here she incorporated her external source with a direct quote, and she has, in parenthetical citation, she has the author's last name, which is great. And then at the end down here, she has her references. So just want to see that you're using those sources to kind of further your information. And those sources are required for all marketing classes here at ETSU. So that's why we have those. Okay, so back to our home page for just a second. Oh, one last thing that I want to tell you about content again. I do ask that you save all of your files, whether it's whatever you're submitting, whether to a Dropbox or a discussion or whatever. If you're choosing to upload any kind of file, please make sure that you save it as a PDF. I've had a lot of issues with students in the past who try to use like a Google Doc or a Pages if you have a Mac, and sometimes they just don't always convert well with D2L or don't work well. So the PDF is great. There are instructions here for how to save your document as a PDF. It's super easy. It won't take you any time at all, but that just really helps with the papers there. So please make sure that you're saving those as a PDF if possible. Okay, and back here on our course homepage, we've talked about all this good stuff, more information on scholarly sources, help with that if you need those are there. Each week you just have one post. This week you have 4 because it's the first week, but normally you just have 1 to read. So here are your announcements for the first week. It tells you everything that I've already mentioned before, everything that you need to submit, everything you need to do. It's always clearly written out here. There are links to those 2 YouTube videos, one for chapter 1, one for chapter 5. They're both relatively short. You can listen to them in the car if you have a commute, whatever works for you. I always give you a summary of what you're going to be reading and watching. So here's a summary of chapters 1 and chapter 5. And then I always include motivational quotes at the end because I'm super corny like that. So I hope this helps to answer your questions about the first week of classes. If there's any questions that you still have, feel free to reach out to me with those. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful semester. Thank you.